I now would like to call upon Chairman Douglas Wells for the report on Committee of Employment.
Comrade Commander and delegates, the National Convention Committee on Employment was called to order on August 22, 2009 by the committee advisors Dean Ashman and Adrian Adazado. The first order of business was the election of a convention committee chairman and secretary. Douglas Wells was elected as chairman and Jean-Claude Wicks was elected as secretary. The committee then proceeded to review the resolutions submitted, and I will now report to you the resolutions recommended for adoption by this National Convention. For the purpose of saving time, I will read only the number and purpose of the resolutions. Resolution 002, support for limited dual entitlement to vocational rehabilitation and employment under Chapter 31 and the post-9/11 Education Assistance Program under Chapter 33 in order to ensure that disabled veterans are not forced to choose the lesser of two benefits. Resolution 047, support licensure and certification of active duty service personnel. Resolution 048, provide adequate staffing, funding, and permanency for veterans employment and/or training, including vets, MBTI, SBA, DAV, LVR, and homeless programs. 061, allow disabled veterans medically retired from military service to count service time toward civil service retirement. Resolution 123, drop the 12-year rule to request VA vocational rehabilitation, Chapter 31 benefits, leaving the date to apply for that benefit open-ended. Resolution 134, Transition Assistance Program and Disabled Transition Assistance Program for National Guard and Reserve. Resolution 255, to support veterans' preference in federal, state, and local employment. Resolution 256, implement and enforce service-disabled veteran-owned small business SBA 8A program. Resolution 257, provide vocational rehabilitation and counseling service staff with state-of-the-art equipment. Resolution 258, increased funding for Transition Assistance Program, TAP, and Disabled Transition Assistance Program, DTAP. Resolution 259, support outreach and employment of women veterans. Resolution 260, employment services for disabled military personnel on terminal leave. Resolution 261, restore Service Members Occupational Conversion and Training Act, SMOCTA program. Resolution 262, oppose using DVOP, LVER to work with or process public assistance programs and reinforce a mandate to assist veterans. Comrade Commander, this completes the report of the Committee on Employment. On behalf of the committee, I move the adoption of these resolutions.
You have heard the motion. May I have a second?
Mike 2.
Mike 2.
Steve Girdler, Chapter 19, Kentucky. So moved. Second.
Okay. In accordance, we have a second. In accordance with Rule 9, now is the time for any rejected resolution to be read. Are there any resolutions which you need to be read? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Nay, motion carried. I would now like to call upon Chairman Jerry Creechy for the report on the Committee on Finance.
Comrade Commander, delegates. The National Convention on Finance was called to order on August 21, 2009 by committee advisors William Bottom and Richard E. Patterson. The first order of business was to elect a convention committee chairman and secretary. Jerome Creechy was elected as chairman and Albert Church was elected as secretary. The committee recommended no resolutions for adoption. The committee next reviewed the proposed 2010 budget with the committee advisors and with the assistance of Comptroller Anita Bloom. The proposed 2010 budget was referred to the National Convention Committee on Finance by the Board of Directors with a recommendation for adoption. Following completion of the committee's review, the committee voted unanimously to recommend to the National Convention adoption of the proposed 2010 budget. The committee then expressed its thanks to the committee advisors, William Bottom and Richard E. Patterson, and Comptroller Anita Bloom for their assistance in forming the work of this important committee. Comrade Commander, this completes the report on the Committee on Finance, and I would move for its adoption.
You have heard the motion. May I have a second?
Mike 1.
Mike 1.
Art Taylor, Chapter 5, Tennessee, so moved. Second.
Thank you. In accordance with Rule 9, now is the time for any rejected resolutions to be read. Are there any rejected resolutions that you wish to read? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I would like to call upon Chairman James E. Sursley for the report of the Committee on Legislation and Veterans' Rights.
Thank you, Commander. Good morning, everyone. The National Convention Committee on Legislation and Veterans' Rights was called to order on August 22, 2009 by the committee advisor Joseph A. Violante and Brenda Keskis. The first order of business was the election of a convention committee chairman and secretary. Jim Sursley was elected as chairman and William Novak was elected secretary. The committee then proceeded to review the resolutions submitted, and I will now report to you the resolutions recommended for adoption by the National Convention. For the purpose of saving time, I will read only the number and purpose of the resolution. Resolution 004 to amend Title 38, USC, to provide 10-year protection for service-connected disability evaluation. Resolution 005, opposing any proposal that would offset payments of Social Security disability, insurance benefits, or any other federal benefit by VA compensation. 009, to expand POW presumptions. 010, support open-ended presumptive period for undiagnosed illnesses for Gulf War veterans. 011, support legislation to repeal the prohibition against service connection for smoking-related illnesses. Resolution 012, supporting a change in regulatory requirements for a temporary total rating under Section 4.30 of Title 38 CFR. Resolution 013, support presumption of exposure to stressors for veterans who served in a war zone and who suffer from PTSD. Resolution 014, oppose any recommendations by any commission to reduce or eliminate benefits for disabled veterans. 015, support legislation to allow all veterans to recover amounts withheld as tax on disability severance pay. 016, reduce the 10-year rule for dependency and indemnity compensation. 017, redefine service in Vietnam to include service in the waters offshore. Resolution 018, provide a temporary total rating for the period that an amputee has a new prosthetic device constructed. Resolution 019, repeal Veterans' Choice of Representation Act. Resolution 020, support repeal of funding fees for VA home loans.